Hey everyone, Julian here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make music like Joji. I've been wanting to do this video for a little while, so I figured no better time than the present, so here we are. So as you heard in the intro, I have this little loop. It's like a slow halftime loop, meaning the snare is on the 3 at 121 BPM, which is like, it's got like trap and like lo-fi hip-hop influence, but it's a little bit slower than that to just sort of get the slow, kind of darker, more ambient, chill type of vibe, I guess. Um, and yeah, so that's the tempo. As far as the sounds go, so to start off with, for the bass, I have this 808. And you see, I've just taken a pretty dry 808. I'll show you the original sample. So it was like that. But I filtered it a little bit with a low pass filter because there was a little bit too much distortion on the original, but I really like the very like smooth, deep low end. So I just filtered it down, and this is a good technique that you can use, to sort of get your 808s to sound a little bit smoother and just sort of more soft and bassy. Now, I did a little bit of stuff with this bass as well that I want to talk about. If you notice, I tuned this 808. So, some of you guys who might know production a little bit more might know about tuning your 808s, but if you don't, so like when you get an 808 in a pack like this, for example, this one, like these ones in here, they're not always just going to be tuned to C, which means like tuning it to C means that it'll play when you play, like say you play C on the keyboard or you play F, those notes will correspond to the note that is actually playing. So what you have to do is use your tuner and tune it. Now usually with 808s it's pretty easy to tune them, but you see I got mine pretty much perfect. It's always going to hover a little bit, which is fine, but you want to get it as close to in tune as possible. And if you don't have Ableton, I think it's like 9.5 where they have the tuner in, or if you don't have Ableton in general, there are a few alternatives. I'll show you. If you have Guitar Rig, there's a tuner in there. You just press this thing and this little tuning fork, and then it comes up, but nothing's showing up on there for some reason. There's also a few like free tuners. I know there's one called like G Tune or something. I don't know. There's a few different ones that you can mess with though. So it is possible to tune your 808s even if you don't have the Ableton tuner, is what I'm saying. Now you'll notice I did the transpose here, but I also used this little detune, and I want to show you because when you just play this sound, like just tune it with the transpose, it's still about like 13 to 14 cents out of tune. And that may not seem like a lot, but you're going to get a lot of, like if you have this and then a lot of other instruments, you're going to get a bunch of, like, it's going to be slightly out of tune, and it's going to be sort of like a nagging kind of warbly effect that isn't always good. So what I did was I just figured out, like I said, you watch the tuner and hold it out and see, okay, so this is around 13 to 14 cents that's staying on. So we just go on the detune and do minus 13. And there you go. Problem solved. You can do minus 14, I guess. Yeah, let's do that. So that's pretty much the 808. For the kick, it's just a really straightforward kind of hip-hop style kick. I don't know why I have a tuner on there. And I have gone and I pitched it down, though, because the original sample, again, I'll show you, it was just a little bit too high. So I put it in this sort of key, I guess, just to sort of get a deeper, more like low end kind of sound. And it gelled with the 808 a little bit better too, because if I play this without pitching it, it kind of sticks out to me. But this sounds more like they're just one sound, which is what you want. And it just kind of fit the mix a little bit better, being like deeper. Now, for the hi-hat, I'll show you my original sample. I took this sample, and what I did was, let me see. I guess I can just redo what I did. So what I did was I dropped this into like a blank sampler. And what I did was I turned up this fade out, which as you can see literally just fades out the volume. And then I just moved this over a bunch. And the purpose of doing this is I wanted it to be a lot tighter and a lot shorter and just sort of like a little hi-hat, like very similar to like a trap hi-hat, but I didn't want to use a trap hi-hat. I wanted to use this one. So I made it kind of similar to a trap hi-hat. And then after that, I just put on a bandpass filter. So if you don't know what a bandpass filter is, a low-pass filter, cuts off the high end. High-pass filter cuts off the low end. A bandpass filter cuts both and sort of makes like a thing in the middle, if that makes any sense. I'll show you, because I used it more in this project file, and I'll show you in a second. But yeah, I just put one of those on there to take out some of the high end and to take out some of the low end, and just make it fit the sort of like lo-fi hip-hop vibe I was going for. So I think I'll finish off the drums real quick. I just have this snare. I don't even think I pitched it, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just a snare from a sample pack, but I find using these kind of rim shot sounds, like I hear in Joji's music, he isn't really usually using like typical hip-hop drums. I mean, obviously, maybe there's a very wide definition that could be applied to that, but like he's not using like 808 trap snares and like stuff like that. It's usually like the snares tend to be like either like some kind of foley sound or some kind of clap or something like this. So I wanted to use this little rim shot because it had the right amount of punch, but it was still like a sort of delicate, smaller sound like the rest of the sounds I was going with. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and show you this main piano riff. So what this is it's this piano recording I had that I made who knows how long ago. There was some piano that I found somewhere, and I recorded it on my friend's phone and emailed it to myself. I'll show you the original sample. Let me see. Show in browser. All right.
The audio file. Oh yeah, just hold it.
Yes, you can hear me talking.
I do.
And there's the sample. And there was a third chord. But
you're gonna want to try that.
When you hear my friend starts talking. So what I did was I just took those first two chords and I pitched it down -4, and I put it on the Beats warp mode because I grabbed them from like in the middle of the sample. I put it on the Beats warp mode because there's a lot of stuff going on in this, and I like how it sounded kind of like warped and sort of like just kind of all messed around, I guess, by using the Beats mode, because the way that it warps things, it can make them sound kind of glitchy when you stretch them out. But I like that for this. So, yeah, you can see I just took these two chords. And I find this is a pretty common, like, convention that Joji uses a lot. Is, like, he'll do these, like, 2-chord progressions that just go over and over while he's singing over them. And it's cool because it kind of gives him a lot of room to sing and, like, a lot of things that he can do melodically. So I think that's why he tends to do that. So yeah, I just made one of those kind of chord progressions. But I used this thing as opposed to like an Ableton piano or something because it has so much more texture in it just because of the nature of what it is. Like all those little sounds in the background and stuff, I want those. And those are in there. And yeah, it just has a lot of cool stuff to it. So I'll show you what this sounds like dry, all warped out like this. Sounds kind of cool, honestly. I would, if I was making my own track out of this, I probably would just use this dry. But I put a bandpass filter on here, which is like I was saying about the hi-hat. You can see this is what a bandpass filter looks like. So it's cutting the low end and it's also cutting the high end. And then I just have the 12 dB one because the 24 was just a little too much cutting out. But yeah, so that just sounds like that. It's just cutting out a lot of the low end and just giving it a little bit more sort of resonance, I guess. It just helps with the vibe. After that, I put on this reverb, which just kind of helps with the like spaciness of it, I guess. There wasn't a whole lot of reverb in this beat. And it didn't have a lot of like wide stuff, so I wanted to put this reverb on, sort of fill it out more. And then I just have a low cut. I think there was still a little bit of low end getting through the auto filter, so I wanted to cut out all of that. So after this, we really only have two more pretty simple elements. Now, if you know anything about like lo-fi hip hop and like this kind of sound, there's a lot of background noise that's used. And the way that you do this is you get like your beat, like this is all like the main beat stuff, and then you add the noise on top of it by like putting samples in. So I have two samples doing the noise. I have this like thunder kind of rain sound, which to me honestly just sounds like a room recording or something. But yeah, I have that, and then I have this vinyl noise. So those two together give a pretty nice sort of bass for this to sit on, I guess. And I'll play it without so you can hear the difference. You see, it just doesn't have the same vibe. These really help give it like a lot of texture and like the feeling that you want. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much that. The main key points are like using sort of unconventional hip hop drum sounds and the whole like field recording thing. Like I think that's very, very important. Listening through Joji's album, I mean like a lot of the songs on there had like stuff like this, like what I did with this piano, like field recorded things like voices and all kinds of stuff. So it's a very good technique to use, and it can definitely help you get closer. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, share the video, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to think of if I forgot anything else. Check out my sample packs, and I'll see you guys again for another tutorial tomorrow. Peace.